The Spuds are heading for Minneapolis. We'll preview their matchup with Lakeville South, plus Jory Collins on the quick start for the Bison, and our final Dakota Bowl preview. Hot Mike begins now.
Hot Mike with Dom Izzo.
Really? Really, Dom?
No. I like what Dom's doing.
Okay.
Dom Izzo.
Jeez, come on, Dom. What do you think I am, a magician?
Yeah, I'm fired up, Dom. What else could I say?
Absolutely. I was great to get on the field, and then Dom came up to me, and I'm trying to walk away from me. I just wanted to enjoy myself out there.
Hot Mike.
Great job.
There's got to be some kind of intelligent question about something.
Coach Dom Izzo, WDAY in Fargo, North Dakota.
Can you give me a layup or something?
Hot Mike. Presented by Northwestern Mutual.
That program is second to none.
On the networks of WDAY.
You know, if it's not about sports, I find it very hard to concentrate.
Here's Dom Izzo.
Good Thursday morning. Welcome to the day before the day edition of Hot Mike on WDAY Extra. KSFL TV, good morning everybody in South Dakota, KNBN in Rapid City, and Inforum.com. What a day here, the 13th of November, not a cloud in the sky. It's going to be 50 degrees, going to be beautiful outside. We could be playing football outside today. See, this is my perfect example. We could start the season later because it's perfect outside. And tomorrow's going to be even better. Of course, we had to deal with, 20 degrees last Friday, so that's probably a good reason why everybody starts playing football in the middle of August. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to our show. I am Dom Izzo here on this 13th of November, 2025. Welcome to our program here today. On the day before the day, as I mentioned that, tomorrow we're up live at the Fargo Dome for Dakota Bowl 33. We'll have you covered wire to wire. We're going to be doing our show up there as the games are going on. One scheduling note, we'll tell you now and I'll tell you again later, and then for all of our viewers who watch us every day, and I love all of you, we are not on Extra tomorrow. So if you're looking for us tomorrow, because WDAY programming is moving to Extra, because apparently there is a large swath of people that like Kelly Ripa's show with her husband, Mark, I think it is. So that show will be airing on our time slot here. We're moving to WDAY 2 tomorrow. So that's available for those that are watching. You can find it there, 592 or 594 on Sparklight and Midco and all that good stuff. If you stream us, then you're fine there. There's no changes on how you take the show in tomorrow. But that is one scheduling note. We'll mention it again before we're done here today, and I will certainly let everybody know. We'll put that out on our social media channels later today to where you can find the big show coming up tomorrow. But we'll be up there tomorrow. We got a bunch of guests to get you ready for the day, including Langdon area Munich head coach Josh Kravatsky is going to join us right before his game. Cardinals play at noon in the Class A championship game. He's going to join us at about 10 tomorrow morning from the Dome. So we're looking forward to that. It should be a great day of football. It's one of my favorites. I say it should be a state holiday. We're going to have numerous towns closing up tomorrow. Lemoore is going to be done. New Rockford's going to be done. Bottineau, from what we found out earlier in the week, is going to be done. And heck, for the bigger cities, Devil's Lake is going to shut down. That's a big deal for the Firebirds that they're in the state championship game. And obviously for the big schools, is it ho-hum? Maybe. Century's been there so much and won so much. But the way they started, we talked to Ron Wiggenbach back in October when they were 0-2 to now playing for the whole thing. No surprise there. And for Davies, this is redemption, revenge, however you want to fuel it, after their after their loss in the championship game a year ago. They've been the team to beat all year long. So looking forward to that. We got much more on those games coming up later on in our program today. I mentioned about the Spuds. Moorhead's leaving today to get down to Minneapolis. They're going to take in the first semifinal tonight. We've got 3 straight days of football going on at U.S. Bank Stadium. And I'm going to tell you now, because I've already got emails on it, and I don't control this. It's totally out of our jurisdiction because we don't have anything to do with the Minnesota state tournaments, that the football semifinals are exclusive streaming. The NSPN network, they control those games. So if you're looking to watch the Spuds tonight, or Breckenridge on Saturday, or DGF, or Monoman-Waban, or all the 9-man teams playing later today, that's where the games are housed. You have to pay for them, and that's where you'll find the semifinal games. They are not televised. It's unlike what they do in the winter tournament season where The quarterfinal round isn't, but the semifinals in basketball are, and obviously the championship is. Hockey, I know they do all 3 days. Hockey's a different beast. Football, they do not. Frankly, I don't know why, because I think there would be a huge interest in it. I know there is, but that's a lot of football. They got 4 games today, 5 games tomorrow, 5 games on Saturday. That is a lot. Just saying the fact we're going through our gauntlet here of producing games, that's a lot to ask. So for those wondering, that's where you can find it. We'll put that out too. Eric, remind me of that. We'll put that on our social media feeds as well for people looking to watch the Spuds, to watch DGF, Hillcrest, Fertile, all those teams. That's how you take it in. Now, if you win, those games are televised next week for the Prep Bowl, beginning next Friday and Saturday. You'll be able to watch those games. But for the semifinals, it is not televised on that. We'll get to the more specifics on that coming up later on in the show. As I mentioned, we'll talk plenty with the Spuds. Kevin Feeney will join us. It's become some good luck here. We've talked to Feeney. The Spuds keep on winning. They've got Lakeville South tomorrow night. We've got Minnetonka and Edina in the first semifinal. That was my point of my dissertation there. That's at 7 o'clock tonight from U.S. Bank Stadium. Something I'll be keeping an eye on that game. Minnetonka looks awfully, awfully impressive. Speaking of impressive, I guess it depends on your point of view. The Bison men played their back half of back-to-back games last night, and the score is going to get some attention today of what they did to St. Scholastica, and I've already got a couple emails on it. We'll read them after we show you the highlights of what went down last night. And it was not Oak Hill's Christian bad. I looked up at the scoreboard for a minute, and we're trending in that direction. Bison raced out. They led this game 24-2 early on. Carson Smith was hitting a couple of threes, the redshirt freshman out of Utah. Craig Smith's son was looking awfully impressive. Bison dominated defensively. Their height was a huge advantage. Noah Feddersen came up with a monster block. Then he lays one in here at the break. The Bison led the game 50-20 at halftime. Trayson Anderson got into the block party as well. Markai Strickland left early. Looked like he turned his ankle. He came back and was again in double figures. He scored in double figures in all 4 games for the Bison. Tay Smith had his coming out party. The Lenore Rhine transfer, who frankly could not shoot to start in the first 3 games. He was great last night. He knocked down 5 3-pointers, added a dunk. Bison got over the century mark and then some in beating St. Scholastica last night. 111-38 was the final. It's the 9th most amount of points in a Bison game in school history. They win by a cool, do your math here, folks. They won by 73 last night. Again, we're not talking Oak Hill's Christian bad, because that was, I think, 108-14. But again, each team agreed to play the game. Saints wanted to play it. This is what turned out. Smith had a big night. He was the leading scorer for the Bison in the win. And the stats don't nearly matter as much as the fact the Bison won the game. And you got to get games. And something that Greg Steeman and I were talking about during the broadcast last night, that these are necessary evils. I don't think anybody likes winning by 73. I don't think anybody certainly likes losing by 70 points or more. But in this day and age of mid-major basketball, there are certain opponents that are just not going to play you. NDSU can't get a game with a high major. Frank, they just can't. Teams are wary of them. Or if you're going to do that, you got to make a deal with the devil. And I mentioned this scenario on the broadcast last night. UND comes to mind because UND got the game with Alabama last year, right? They got the game up there in Grand Forks. Grant Nelson gets a homecoming. Big deal. It's celebrated. It's a big deal. But here's the payoff. You got to go to Tuscaloosa twice. They did it this year, and they'll have to do it again next year. The devil's in the details on that. It's not great. So you can go that route, but you're hemorrhaging out there, and they're not going to pay you as much as you would for one game. UND, I think, is getting $30,000 for each of those games, which is not ideal. Excuse me. So You can go down that road. Or you could do what the Bison did last night. You can play a lower division opponent, know the fact you're going to get a home game out of it, and you're going to get a win. The fact that Southern Illinois is a great example, right? SIU is the next game for the Bison at home. That is what I just talked about. NDSU had to play 2 games in Carbondale just to get 1 game in Fargo. That's the Missouri Valley and the Summit are, for those watching on television, about here. There's a good disparity there. Not as big as it used to be, but there's still a disparity. That's why when you see the series with the Horizon and the Ohio Valley, or what the Big Sky and the Summit have done, they welcome those because you get 2 guaranteed games. And in light of the news of Denver leaving, now coaches are, so we got to find 2 more games now on the schedule? Because that's how it goes about. The email I got already to start the show, 3 people are at fault for scheduling an opponent like last night, Dom. The AD and both head coaches. I guess Richmond gets a win on his resume. And again, I'll say, what do you want them to do? They're not going to go and play Duke. I'm sure they'd love to. Kentucky's not calling them back. There's a certain limit on what they can do. And I'm not making an excuse. I'm just telling you this is fact. Because UND's got 128 on Mayville. Didn't they win by 70 over Mayville the other night? I mean, are we raising a big stink over that? I mean, it's the same deal. Mayville's NAIA opponent, So it's the necessary evils of trying to schedule games in the non-conference. You'd love to have a multi-team event. I'm sure the Bison would try to do that. People just don't want to come to Fargo. They know the Bison are good. They don't want to get beat. Richmond and I have done this dance on scheduling for as long as he's been the head coach, which is now 12 years. We've done the dance on this show for 5 years of talking about scheduling games. And he took some heat, and rightfully so, for the Oak Hills Christian one. That was a debacle. That was not the case last night. I didn't see St. Scholastica's got some work to do, and they're gonna struggle in the MIAC this year. The MIAC's a good basketball league, but it was not to the level of that what we saw a couple years ago inside the Shack. So, Bison are 2-2, couple days off, and back in action Monday for a good one with SIU coming to town. And then they have another non-Division I, University of Jamestown, and that's a Division II school, remember, as they are starting their transition this year to the NSIC. Real quick before we set things up, we're into the baseball award season. We've had Manager of the Year, Rookie of the Year decided. Last night, the Cy Youngs were announced. No real surprise here on who won, if you follow baseball at all. Tarek Skubal won the Cy Young for the Tigers. Paul Skeens won the Cy Young for the Pirates. Skeens was unanimous in winning the Cy Young for the Pirates. And we saw him pitch against the Twins back in July, right before the All-Star break, and ended up pitching in the All-Star game out of it. Was fantastic. He was great all year long. ERA was microscopic for a team that gave him no run support. In fact, against the Twins, he got no run support there. Skubal is the first pitcher to win back-to-back Cy Youngs since Jacob deGrom did it for my Mets in 18 and 19. The first American League pitcher to do so since Pedro Martinez did it in 1999 and 2000 for the Red Sox. Skubal got 26 of the 30 first-place votes. Garrett Crochet and Hunter Brown got some as well. Phillies left-hander Christopher Sanchez received all 30 second-place votes to finish second to Skeens, and Yamamoto, who was the World Series MVP, was third in the National League balloting. Now, obviously the big story out of this is, well, how long is Skeens going to stay in Pittsburgh? He said all the right things afterwards, and of course, he wants to win there. I mean, Derek Shelton now, who's the new manager of the Twins, just lost his job as manager of the Pirates and knows full well, I don't know if they're as committed to winning as what Skeens would like to see. Skubal is great. I mean, you saw him pitch in the playoffs as well, that winner-take-all game. He was fantastic, and Seattle ended up walking him off. But, I mean, that's pretty much slam dunks there for those two guys that ended up winning the Cy Young Awards. Just a little baseball flavor. We're getting to that. We're going to get MVP and all that kind of good stuff coming here in the next couple days as well. We got a packed show coming up for you here on this Thursday morning. Our guest lineup is brought to you by Northwestern Mutual. Coming up in a few minutes, you'll meet the new guys doing the sports every night on WDAY. We'll formally introduce you to Riley Swenson. I know a lot of people have already seen him on. Riley's been doing it for the last couple of weeks. The pride of Moorhead. He'll join us here to talk about what he's been up to since he last was with us back in 2023. He's been a busy man. He's been a busy man this past week. A lot going on. You're going to see him tomorrow as part of our Dakota Bowl coverage. That's coming up in just a few minutes. We'll keep the Moorhead theme going at 9:35. Our guy Kevin Feeney will join us to give us a look ahead to Lakeville South. Here's another team that runs the ball like Centennial did in the last matchup, and what to expect for the game tomorrow night at US Bank Stadium. That's coming up at 9:35. At 10 o'clock, our guy Sam Goetzinger will join us. Busy man himself. He's got wrestling tonight. He'll be calling the Cobbers matchup with NDSU, the home dual opener for the Bison, and then he'll be on the call of the late games tomorrow at the Dome, the 2A game and the 3A game. So we'll visit with Sam about that at 10 o'clock. And at 10:35, our weekly visit with Jory Collins, NDSU women's basketball head coach. The Bison, in the midst of a few days off, they hit the road for Sioux Falls on Sunday and a matchup with Nebraska. We'll preview that coming up later on in the show. That and a heck of a lot more here on a busy Thursday morning. We'll take our first break. We're off and rolling. We're glad you're joining us. Hot Mike back after this on WDAY Extra, KSFL, KMBN, and Inforum.com. Welcome back, everybody. Don't forget, tomorrow it's D-Day, Dakota Bowl Day, that is. We hit the air at 9 a.m. on WDAY with a 9-man championship that will be followed by the Class A game just about noon. Then at about 3 o'clock for the 2A championship between Minot North and Devil's Lake. And then in prime time, we wrap things up with Davies and Century about 6:30 on WDAY. Looking forward to that. It's one of our favorite days of the year. It is a busy one. 4 football games starting tomorrow, 9 a.m. You can stream it live on WDAY Plus and on Inforum.com. Our next guest you will see and hear patrolling the sidelines tomorrow for his first Dakota Bowl. What an initiation for him. You've seen him on our sportscast for the last week and a half. Great to have Riley Swenson here in studio for our formal introduction. For people that have been watching, like, who is this guy? First off, congratulations. Welcome back. How's the first 10 days gone?
Thank you. Yeah, no, it's been really good. I love being back at WDAY and being just back in the Fargo-Moorhead area. I know you mentioned I'm a Moorhead grad, born and raised, so just to be back in the area and covering, the local teams in the surrounding area, it's been fantastic.
All
so
right,
far.
Here's the thing to make me feel old. My wife, Courtney, taught you as a freshman.
Yeah.
What year was that?
That would have been, so I graduated in 2021, so that would have been 2016, 17.
Holy cow. So she tells me I'm teaching a guy who says, I want to be just like Dom Izzo, which I immediately well, he's got to shoot for higher aspirations than that. And obviously we met when you were doing Spuds TV.
Yep.
And took that to great heights, which is fantastic. And you interned with us a couple years ago. And then tell us what you did after that at Arizona State.
Yeah, so I went down to Arizona State, had a great opportunity there, got to do a whole bunch of broadcasting with the student broadcasts.
You're doing football, basketball, the whole nine yards,
I was lucky enough. Our football team decided they were going to be good. So I went to I called the Big 12 championship game, which was probably the coolest thing I've done. I got to call the hockey game when they played UND in Las Vegas, which was awesome. I know they're playing again this weekend, so that's kind of cool. That one of my first weeks here, they're playing again. Yeah. And then I got to intern with their radio team and see what they do on a day-to-day basis. Got done there and went down to the Twin Cities. Took a job with the Minnesota Twins as an intern with them on their radio team. And that was the best experience I could ask for. Mixed in, I was in Wilmer for a summer in there.
Yeah, that's right. You were calling Northwoods League.
Northwoods League, which is another great opportunity for young broadcasters to get their foot in the door. And but who says you can't go home? So here I am.
So for people that don't know, what was the day-to-day with the Twins? What were you doing there?
So you get there in the afternoon and, we'd be in the clubhouse before the game, out at batting practice, talking to guys, more storyline stuff, Byron, you're stealing bases, those kinds of things. And then you're editing stories for our pregame show. And then during the game, you're either running the out-of-town scoreboard, which is probably the best job in sports. You're just watching 14 other baseball games and cutting highlights from it.
And you're right inside target field where you're doing that.
The studio's right behind the Champions Club there, And then if you're not doing that, you're producing the game, which then you're cutting highlights from our game. And then post-game, we're right back in the clubhouse asking questions to guys. And
that's
that
a
airs on
pretty
our
cool
post-game
gig,
show.
man.
Yeah.
I just looking like that's pretty, as an internship, that's
Right.
pretty darn cool.
Yep.
What was your favorite part of that?
I think, honestly, the pregame talks with the guys, just because once you get to know them, they open up a little bit more. The post-game is you're kind of hoping that they win. That way they're in a little better mood. If they lose, like, I don't know if I really want to go in there. And, I'm just a 22-year-old intern. What they're not going to answer to me. But the pregame stuff, you get them talking about, we'd ask them about, oh, Mike Trout's coming to town. What's that like? And just get these guys as baseball players and guys more so than, the actual between the lines.
Did you get to travel too?
No traveling.
Okay.
We do all the road games. The only guys that travel with Twins Radio are Chris Atterbury and whoever the analyst is for that week.
And the engineer, I'm assuming, right?
They stopped traveling.
Really?
Actually,
Wow.
This year was the first year they stopped doing that, so they hired an engineer.
All right, so we have Corey Provis on, who does TV, did radio for a long time. Every Friday. I have to ask, because we had Corey on the day after the bloodletting. What was that like at Target Field?
So we rotate as interns who goes in the clubhouse post game, and so that was my day. Was the game before?
Is that right? I didn't know that.
Yep.
Oh
so
my God.
I'm going in there, and usually they tell us, because we're only on the air for a select amount of time after the games. They usually say, hey, whenever you're done, you come back. And they said, you stay in there as long as you need to today to get everything. And we're in there, and we were getting guys, just openly talking. And sometimes, we as the media knew more than they did. Like, hey, it sounds like you might be going here. Oh, really? I didn't. And so it was a wild day of, everyone, Carlos Correa talking about how he was going to stay, it sounded like. Then the next day he gets dealt.
Dunzo.
And so it was a wild, wild day. And there were people in the clubhouse after we left, and it was my first experience, so I didn't know any better. They were like, man, I've been doing this job a long time. That was by far the weirdest, most interesting clubhouse I have ever been in. And so that was definitely a day I'll remember.
That's an experience, man. You got that. And there's few others that are going to have that kind of experience. And honestly, that's, to me, just hearing you talk about it, that's getting you on your toes and preparing you for pretty much like what we do in live sports. And again, we're not saving lives. We're not digging ditches here. We're in the toy department. But that gives you an opportunity to go on your feet here, move with anything, and just, all right, well, if this is, you weren't planning for that, obviously, when you went to work that day.
Yeah, no, I definitely think of things on the fly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are days like that happen. I can vividly remember a few in sports where either somebody got arrested or this, and even locally here, like, okay, well, this is totally, I'm going to throw my whole day out because that ain't, we're not going to do anything of that.
Yep.
So the job opened up. Was this something automatic? Like, hey, like I'll be really interested?
Yeah, to be honest, I never thought I would get it. So the job opens up. I see, on the job board, whatever, Forum Communications, sports anchor, and I'm like, well, I'll throw my name in the ring, but I don't think, I'm probably not their guy, whatever. So a couple months went by and hadn't really heard anything back. So I was like, well, probably didn't get it. That's all right. I didn't really think I would. And then got an email that said, hey, let's talk. One thing led to another, and then they said, we're gonna bring you on as the new sports anchor. And that I was like, all right, let's go, because I was not expecting it at all, but I knew that if it did come my way, it'd be something I'd be really excited about, and that was the case.
So how many months removed are you from graduating?
I graduated in December.
Okay, so almost a full calendar year.
Yep,
and
just about.
Pretty nice full-time gig here.
Yep.
That's all right.
Yeah, I'm doing okay, I think. Yep.
I got this email, and this is long before I told people you were going to be on the show. Dom, before I forget, what a hire in Riley Swenson. I don't think I've ever seen a more polished anchor at that early stage of his career. Hopefully WDAY can keep him a while. That's pretty cool, man.
That's pretty sweet.
You've been on the air for, I don't know what, a week and a half here doing this?
Yep.
And people are already responding like that. You gotta feel pretty good about that.
Yeah, that's very kind of them. I appreciate that.
And you started, at a real, nothing time. We got nothing going on.
Yeah. Yeah, no, there's nothing to cover. It's hard to figure out what we're going to do each day.
We were just talking. You were in Breck the other day, visiting with them. What are you most excited about doing? Obviously, this is easy because we got a bunch going on. But once we get into the nitty-gritty of this, what are you most excited about doing on a day-to-day basis?
I never played anything higher than high school sports. So I love high school sports. And, being from Moorhead, obviously I can get behind Spuds hockey, Spuds football, 6A. But I love the small towns where there's kids that play basketball, baseball, softball. In the winter, they're doing hockey or, and then in the fall, they're playing something else. And I love those. If you're a good athlete, you play everything at a small school. I love the Class B basketball at the Minot State Dome. Like I remember when I was a kid growing up, that's the stuff that I would watch and be like, oh man, that's awesome. What if I, got to be a part of that someday? So I think just getting to the smaller, communities and towns, and it's not easy. If we, it'd be easy to stick around and we could cover Fargo, Moorhead, and probably do that all week if we wanted. But there's definitely there's stories to be had outside of this little area here. I think that's what excites me.
Do you so I will tell a story here. When I first got hired, anchoring was the thing I was worst at, which people still think I'm getting better at. But play-by-play was what I always wanted to do. And I had to be almost convinced, tell my hand behind my back, hey, anchoring is probably the way it should go. And I ended up doing that for 13 years. And I enjoyed it, but when the play-by-play part came around, I really like to do that. Do you have something you enjoy? Do you like anchoring as a play-by-play? What do you like the most?
I like anchoring when it's, First Down Friday, you're reading highlights. That is probably the most fun you'll ever have, just reading highlights and throwing in your own little quips here and there. I love play-by-play. That was when I was a kid, that's what I wanted to do. Was play-by-play, still do. I got to do sideline really for one of the first times last week with Bison basketball. Get to do it again tomorrow at the Dakota Bowl, so I think I'm starting to enjoy that. So I love the anchoring. No, I do enjoy delivering that stuff.
And there's a certain part of that where I didn't realize till maybe I was doing the main gig for a couple years that people watch a lot, and you'll find this out. In the area, but I'm sure tomorrow, next week, people are going to start recognizing you. And that to me, because people watch WDAY, they just do. We're number one, but number one for 6-7 decades. That the amount of people, I was stunned by this, even when I was doing weekends, that people would say, hey, you're the sports guy. And I had been here for, 2 months. Yeah. I'm only on twice a week, and people were picking me out. So that part is pretty cool. And obviously you're following in a line of guys that have done an amazing job on it. And you've already off to a great start, and it's been fun to watch. And then tomorrow, like you mentioned, you're going to be doing patrolling the sidelines. What are you looking forward to tomorrow about Dakota Bowl?
I think just honestly all the storylines with the games. There's a reason to tune into all the games. You have a rematch in 9-man. Class A Minot. Double A Minot North. It's their second year as a varsity program. They're in the championship, but I think just talking with coaches throughout the week and figuring out the storylines with each team. And just getting to be at a championship event. I was at the Final Four in Phoenix, but didn't really talk to anyone really after. But getting to get the raw emotion after the game of they just won the state championship, and who's the first guy they talked to? Well, it's probably this guy.
Yeah,
so
right?
I think that'll be really cool.
Yeah, that's you don't realize that until maybe after the fact. That all right, that's pretty cool. The first one they're talking to is you, and it's on live TV. There's a lot that goes with that. I appreciate you coming by. People are going to see you all the time. Even on this show, apparently, we're going to have you fill in, I think.
Yeah, that's the
all
plan.
Right. That's fantastic. So congratulations, bud. We're lucky to have you, and keep killing it. You're doing a great job.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Riley Swenson joining us, our new 6 and 10 anchor on WDAY Sports. You'll see him tonight. Coming up late. What do you got going on tonight? Nothing? We got a couple of high school football games.
Yeah, high school football at the bank kicks off today. So,
Well, highlights of that and a bunch of other stuff. We got region volleyball going on tonight, so a little bit of everything. So thanks for getting up early, bud, swinging by.
No problem.
Right? Riley joining us here in studio. All right, we'll break. We come back. I kept that guy Feeney waiting for too long. We'll preview the Spuds matchup tonight. The Cake Eaters from Lakeville South. That's coming up when we come back. Welcome back, everybody. Hot Mic rolls on this Thursday morning. Our guy Sammy G coming up in about a half hour to give us the Dakota Bowl prep. Jory Collins at 10:30 talk some Bison women's basketball. Sources indicate that U.S. Bank Stadium will be full for the next 3 days as the semifinals begin in about an hour. I think is the first game in 10:30. We got some 9-man games, and then later tonight is the first 6A semifinal between Minnetonka and Edina. And for years, we haven't needed to care about the game. We do now, because the winner of that will play the winner of Moorhead and Lakeville South. They'll play tomorrow night at 7:30. Our guy Kevin Feeney joins us this morning. All right, you're dealing with the old sports anchor at WDAY. How about the new one? You know him.
He's doing awesome. Known Riley since about 3rd or 4th grade, and I think Riley's been planning on taking your job about 10, 15 years ago.
Well, he's already killing it. He's already doing better than I am. I can tell you that.
He's doing really well.
All right. So how are you handling being a viral sensation? That story with the pizza went to CNN, I saw the other day.
You know what? Kevin Wallivin said this stuff that the national media will eat this stuff up. No pun intended. But no, I tell you what, great story. Kevin did a great job on telling it. But kudos to our kids. Seriously, we just try to figure out a way. They were hungry, and they'll come up and adapt and overcome. Like I said with Kevin.
No, don't get in the way of hungry football players after a game. What is your food plan for tomorrow night? Now, are you all good?
Oh, all good. You know what? Because we're leaving today, you'll laugh. My wife has been in charge of our food plan for the next 2 days, and so she's much better at this than I am, but much more detail-oriented than I am.
All right, I think a lot of us, I'll raise my hand. I'm at the Bison basketball game Friday, and I'm getting scores coming in, and I find out that Maple Grove lost to Lakeville South. I was stunned. Were you?
You know what? Yes. I mean, Maple Grove has been the kings of the class for a couple years now. But you know what? We have gone up against this offense before against Elk River, and we know that once you kind of fall behind, that it's super hard to get ahead. And so as that game, we were all watching it, and as they missed that extra point and then didn't get the 2-point conversion, I was like, shoot, Lakeville South is moving on. And you know what? They've got a great program. They've won a lot of football games. They won a state championship. They had the player of the year, 2-time player of the year. That's the running back at Iowa State right now. So, I mean, they know how to win, Dom. I mean, they know what they're doing down there in Lakeville.
Carson Hansen is his name. The Bison were trying to get him. His dad played up here, as you well know. He was a heck of a player. Griffin Dean, we're watching him now. This is, I'm assuming, number one of how you try and stop this guy tomorrow night?
Yeah, he's the reason I probably haven't slept for the last 3 days in trying to get ready for him. But yeah, 6 touchdowns and just a super impressive performance overall by their entire team, offense, defense, special teams. But, obviously the power T stuff is going to take a majority of the limelight, which is rightfully so. And so we've got to do our best and figure out a way to give our kids a chance to be successful tomorrow night.
Is this close to Elk River, or is there a subtle twitch that's different from what you've seen before?
Formationally, very, very exactly the same as Elk River. I would say, Lakeville South is much more just come right at you a little bit more than maybe what Elk River is. And, they each and every year that we played Elk River, they'd have different strengths, right? I mean, they'd have a super athletic, fast quarterback, or then they had the trap guy. But, and Lakeville South certainly has all those pieces to the puzzle. And then number 2, they're a 6A school. And so, like, the measurables on their offensive line and their tight ends are tackles, and they're just ginormous. And so we know we've got a huge challenge in front of us, and hopefully we can just slow them down a little bit and get them off course. I mean, and that is first down. It goes against everything that you're taught as a football player, and every other thing, because on defense, what's the number one thing you got to do on defense? Run to the football.
Yep.
Right? I mean, we do hustle and pursuit every single day. And
you can't do that here.
You can't do it. No. And so you're like literally stripping away everything that we teach to our kids for 1 week. And hopefully they can, have great discipline and do their jobs really well on Friday.
I'm sure you're going to spill the beans here. Would you take the ball if you win the toss? Just to say, okay, we're going to go and let's go.
I tell you what, we did that last week against Centennial. I agonized over the coin toss, and I made a joke at one of the luncheons I speak at. I go, who worries for 4 days about what you're going to do with a coin toss that you have no control over? And so I don't know. It's the same thing. It's like you have these gut feelings right when you're warming up, but I could go either way on it. But yeah, it's so stupid that I worry about this much about a coin toss.
Hey, it's this time of the year, man. Your football coaches are paranoid about everything. Describe the mood of your team, how elated they were. We talked on Friday after the win over Centennial, and then, turning the page, and we got another football game at the place we've wanted to get to for the longest time at US Bank Stadium.
No doubt. And you know what? I used the term last week, street fight, because Centennial, the style of play that they were in and the flat back and downhill running scheme that they were going to attack us with. And, really it's no different in this game. I mean, we can use all the different, slogans and all the different things, but really what we've got to do is be super physical and just make sure that we're getting people on the ground. And turnovers this time of year in big football games are the determining factor. And so we've got to do a great job offensively of not turning the football over and just keep doing what we're doing there. And then defensively, like I said, it comes down to just who can stop who. And you know what? Both teams have been super successful offensively. I think both teams have done some good things defensively. And like I said, I think we just are literally polar opposites on how we're going to do it. They want to play 22 in a phone booth, and I'll use the entire stadium at US Bank if they allow us to.
Do you get a sense with knowing where you're at here, just the guys appreciating the moment, like, hey, this has been a climb to get here, and now you've reached, and you're not at the final spot, but you've reached a spot where you have not been able to get to in the past?
We did. We talked about it a little bit last week, like, hey, you know what, at some point, just take a look around. And obviously, this stage and at US Bank, we're going to, there's a little bit more of, oohs and ahs when you're looking around the stadium. But, ultimately, I talked yesterday about football's an emotional game, but you can't let your emotions take over your ability to be successful in this game. And so we've got to be able to keep it in check. But our kids have been playing super confident and they believe in each other. And I'll tell you what, it's a pretty good formula for success when you got guys that feel like they can score at any point in time. And our offensive line has just got to keep doing their thing against a great Lakeville North defensive line. And so super great challenge. We know what we're up against, but I do believe that our kids are a very confident football team, that we belong in this game, and we've earned the right for this game, because you don't get to this point without earning every single minute. And that's kind of been our thing the last few weeks, is just find a way to earn another 48 minutes. And that's what we're going to try to do again.
In your opinion, and I don't know if anybody matches up like you, have they seen anything close to what you guys do offensively?
You know what? Formationally, they have Edina and Mounds View are probably the two teams that at least look a little bit like us, but they don't do it like we do. I mean, it just, full disclosure, it's different. We put so much on our quarterbacks, and our wide receivers are so dynamic, and then we've got a great offensive line and a great running game. And so I don't, they haven't seen what we're going to try and do to them, but on the flip side, they could say the same thing to us, as far as we haven't seen what they're going to try and do to us. And so that's the beauty, and that's what's so much fun about the game of football is all the chess games that are going on behind the scenes.
The fact, just you're in the Final Four, man, and the teams you're with are the teams you played, obviously, on the other side with Minnetonka and Edina. When we talked about this back in April, that area is 6A football, I mean, I know you had high expectations, but even for yourself, you've done so many big games. Will you let yourself look around like, all right, we did this, we made it?
Yeah, you know what? We kind of had that moment as a staff after the Centennial game was over, on just saying, who would have ever thought we had to go to 6A to get to the US Bank Stadium, because we've been right on the hills, you know what I mean? Yep. So many times, and just unfortunate in the past. But yeah, I'll tell you what, the other thing that's super cool is the amount of former Spud players that, whether it's in the 80s, 90s, 2000s, all the way up through the last few years, that have reached out and just in tremendous support for our kids. And I told the kids that yesterday. This community has been so special to them, and make sure that they understand how important that everybody is in this, because certainly they've done the work and they've earned the right to play in that game. But this has been a long time coming for a lot of people, and a lot of former players that have put in a lot of time here too.
I got a feeling you're gonna have a ton of people there tomorrow night. What have you heard on that?
Yeah, I think it's gonna be a great crowd. I've even got a lot of Fargo friends that are gonna try and make the trip down and watch the games. And so yeah, it's gonna be a great crowd. Everybody's like, oh, we're the visiting team. I laughed. I said, dude, we've been the visiting team every like 9 out of the last 12 weeks. We're the visiting team. So we got the white jerseys. It's kind of been our thing all season long. Even though, Dom, I know we got great uniforms, but we're not getting to showcase them all. But it's going to be super fun. I'm super excited. You know what? The Spuds community is going to come out and really support, and there's no doubt in my mind our kids appreciate that.
I heard there was a T-shirt being made about the miles you've traveled this year.
I have seen that. That's thanks to your tweet, by the way. But yeah, no, that's been a lot of talk. We're going to have a lot of fun stories to tell when this whole thing's over.
Absolutely.
But you know what I mean? Like, how many pizzas did we have? How many pounds of pasta? Because we do the same thing every trip, right? And so the kids are just accustomed to it, and they do a great job. And I tell you what, the kids are so resilient. It doesn't matter. And we kind of joked that on Friday we have, we're going down today, so we're going to have a little bit more time tomorrow. I said to our staff, we actually got to get in the bus and drive around a little bit the metro, just because that's what we do every game day.
We're gonna find the Spud bus just driving all around Target Field or something like that.
Why not?
Tomorrow
Let's just
afternoon.
Go take in the sights of downtown Minneapolis, right?
I got to ask you. You guys are practicing in the Dome. Tomorrow's Dakota Bowl. What comes to mind when I ask you about that, being back in that building and how many games you coached there with Fargo South?
Gosh, you know what? My wife actually brought it up last night. She said the last time I've been that she has been to an indoor football game was our state championship game in the Fargo Dome. And she was joking that how awesome it was back in the day, because number one, you had space, and we had a lot of little kids at the time, Trey, Jet, and Ellie. And so you could run around, and I'm pretty sure Jet was eating popcorn right off the Fargo Dome floor. But no, I tell you what, it's super special. I have so many great memories, obviously playing in that place, but then being able to coach, and we won a handful of state championships in that place. And it's just an awesome feeling, because it's one of those things as a coach that it's so cool. But I never won a state championship in high school football. I won a state championship in high school basketball, of all things. And I remember it like it was yesterday. It was in the Fargo Dome, actually. But and that's what I think about when I think about these kids and this experience. Is this isn't just going to be for a year or two. This is going to be a lifetime memory for them. And it's super neat and super special, and they've earned it.
Last thing before I let you go, I'll put you on the spot here, but I know you had such great battles with West Fargo. Do you have a great Jay Gibson story you can share on the air this morning?
Gosh, you know what? Well, first of all, I grew up on the sideline with Jay Gibson. Jay Gibson, I was about an 8-year-old when I first met Jay Gibson, or got to know Jay Gibson. And I thought one of the coolest things was in warm-ups, because I always got to be on the field, and Jay could punt the ball a mile. And I used to remember Hughes Field trying to run around and catch punts in pregame warm-ups, and just thinking, like, this is better than the NFL, right? I mean, this guy could punt in the NFL. But you know what? Super amount of respect for Jay Gibson. I mean, number one, to do it that long and at one place, right? I mean, that's super difficult. And I know he's planning on still coaching. And we had some amazing battles, both at Shanley and Fargo South. We had some amazing battles. We got our first win of my coaching career at Shanley, at West Fargo, at the old field. And I tell you what, like I said, the ultimate competitor. One of the best ones that I have is in the Fargo Dome. Jay's son was the quarterback, and he was doing this thing, and there was this bang play, and Jay comes sprinting down the sidelines because he's fired up. And I don't know if he was yelling at the official or his player, but I think he tore his hamstring. And all of a sudden he disappeared, and he runs over to the bench, and he's sitting down. And I remember shaking his hand after the game was over, and he's like, I think I just tore my hamstring.
That sounds like Jay, totally. On that, are you leaning one way or the other tonight? You've seen Minnetonka, you've seen Edina.
I've seen them both. We're going to go and take the kids to the game. 2/3 of our football team hasn't ever been in US Bank, and so we want to get the oohs and the ahs out of the way tonight. And then, like I said, go there on Friday and try to win a football game. But you know what? Two phenomenal football teams, I have no idea. I'm just going to take it in tonight. I'm not going to be in coach mode or nothing. I'm just going to try and take it in. And then if we are in the right, I'll dive into that big time on Saturday morning and start breaking down film.
Caleb Francois is awfully good. Obviously, we know Mason West is all right for Edina. It should be a great game. Safe travels, bud. Have a great time tomorrow. Good luck, and thanks again for doing this, okay?
Hey, appreciate you having me on, Dom.
There he goes, Kevin Feeney, head coach, Moorhead Spuds. Tomorrow night, they've got Lakeville South, 7:30 from inside US Bank Stadium. And again, the games are streamed tomorrow on the NSPN website. You have to pay for it. You can get all the games. You can subscribe that way, and you can watch every game coming up here in about a half hour, and then all the way to Saturday night is the final of the semifinals. But that's where you'll find the games. The games are not on television this weekend. But we'll see. You saw the highlights there of what Lakeville South does. That is hard to find the football. It's not Veer-esque of what the Bison used to do. It's just Elk River was so horrible to shoot. I think we televised a couple of Elk River Moorhead games, and it's impossible, I don't know, Eric, if you ever shot one, of finding who has the ball. Especially if you're shooting field level, you're done. You're absolutely done. You have no idea who has the ball. Up top, you have a better chance if you're up top. And even then, I know I got faked out. I'm like, wait a minute, I'm up top. I can see the whole field, and I still didn't know who had the ball. It's crazy on that. What do you got for me?
What's worse, Elk River or shooting Fargo Davies football?
That's probably a push. Sam would probably be the best one to ask on that because I know he's covered Elk River, and I know he's covered Davies on that.
But they both run the option.
Yeah. I think Elk River's harder because you don't know who has the ball. I don't think it's necessarily, and we can ask Sam in our next segment, I don't think it's as tricky with Wayne's team. Elk River, you literally are guessing who has it because there's 3 guys lined up behind the quarterback, and you have no idea who's going to get it. That's not what Lakeville South does. It's still got to find it. It's going to be so different because the Spuds are going to go out there. They're going to wing it on 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th down. I don't know how many. They have Tay Rich, who's fantastic, and they're going to wing it on almost every down. Can't wait to watch tomorrow night. All right, we'll break. We'll get back on time here. Big second hour coming. Jory Collins coming up as well. Talk some Bison women's basketball about a half hour. Back on this Thursday morning Hot Mic after this. Action-packed first hour in the books. Our thanks to Kevin Feeney. Again, Spuds, Lakeville South tomorrow night at 7:30. Hour 2 begins. Our guy Sam Goetzinger waiting in the wings. Chat with him about he's got a busy day coming up tomorrow. That's coming up. Hour 2 starts when we come back.
This is Hot Mic. Hot Mic on the networks of WDAY. WDAY. Here's Dom Izzo.
Let's take a moment and talk about bunions. The original line read as this: bunions. You may have heard of them. That was my original line.
Hey, thank you, Dom. Johnny Cool Guys there with the sunglasses on.
I was off the dome to
the west of
when
Illinois.
I'm looking on it, like my okay, west. I shouldn't say right and left. Is that Missouri?
That is Missouri.
Yes.
That
it's
is
underneath
Missouri.
Iowa.
Way to go.
I'm getting good at this.
He's coming.
So we're going to like the bottom peninsula region.
Peninsula.
Okay, we're going to come back on the ETSU tailgate and then go to you. How am I going to go from a tailgate to bunions?
Okay, good deal.
Let's take a moment and talk about bunions.
You know what I want to say? You and Dave, it seems like you're best of friends.
Dave,
I think
yeah,
he had his
that's right.
arm. Did he have his arm around you last night?
I felt the pat somewhere. I thought it was great. Yeah, I know. Dave's been awesome. It's been a good year.
I saw that. You guys are just all.
We're hitting it off.
You know what? You hit the
hitting it
ground
off.
running.
Yep.
You two. This is it's almost like we could do a sitcom with you guys. How well you
We've
get
come a
along over
long way since the MSUM days. I tell you that much. It's been fun. It's been fun. Fun week.
Here he is, our guy Sam Goetzinger joining. Yeah, it's I don't know if that is the word I'd use, but we got a lot
busy.
going
Yeah,
on,
that's for
man.
sure.
Sam's gonna be on the call tonight of Bison Wrestling and their matchup with Concordia, the home dual opener for Obi Blanc. Starting year 3 there, and of course we're gonna hear him tomorrow on the games, the 2A championship and the 3A championship between Minot North and Devils Lake, and then Davies and Century. We'll get to that in just a minute. So Riley was in earlier in our first hour, and this is, he's been anchoring for the last week and a half, but this is his first big deal tomorrow.
I remember that first.
Was that your first real? Because you had worked here for like 5 months before.
I was doing news, and then I was doing our game of the week coverage, which is completely different than what we do for the Dakota Bowl. So this was the first like big broadcast I was a part of back in 22. Is that when I started? I just remember that first game. It was Central Cass and Velvet Drake Animus Garrison.
Awesome game.
Oh, it was phenomenal.
Yep.
So that kind of calmed the nerves a little bit. But I didn't know the color guys I was working with. I didn't know Mike's here. I didn't know what he brought to the table.
That was your second game, right? Was the 9-man game working with him?
That was New Salem Almont and who were they playing? I'm blanking.
Oh, look here.
The game went North. No, that was the year after, Eric. I'm blanking, but the game went into overtime and it was great. But I didn't know. I didn't know Mike Zier's energy.
It was Cavalier.
Cavalier. Yeah. Thank you.
Which was overtime, if I remember right.
Yes, it was.
It was the second ever overtime game in the history of the Dakota Bowl.
It was crazy.
And he brought it. He was great.
So those two games, the Central Cass Velvet Drake Animus game ended on the last second. Then that one went into overtime, and I was nervous. Mike was great. I think Eric Olson I did the 11A game 11A game with.
Love EO, one of my faves.
And it was one of the most fun experiences I've ever had. And then to go into this will be my third one now. Fourth one now. Yeah,
you're an old hat, man.
It's been fun.
Yeah.
It's been so fun. This is like to me, this is the start of the state tournament stretch, because then we got volleyball next week, and then we got basketball and wrestling and whatever else, hockey down the road.
Don't even get me started. I was thinking we got softball, baseball, tennis,
we
soccer,
got that
all
now
that
on the docket. This is the start of the busy stretch, but Dakota Bowl is just such a cool experience.
All right, let's first start with the 3A game. So Davies and Century played way back when, second week of the season, and Davies dusted them.
Yes.
34-3, I believe, was the final in that game. Century started 0-2. Do we have an indication? Can we use that game to forecast what potentially could happen tomorrow?
No, not at all. Not at all. Century, for sure. Davies has been rock solid.
Are they, dare I say, a wagon?
I would call them a wagon, juggernaut, whatever you want to use. Century now also a wagon after the first 2 games of the year.
Yeah, they haven't lost.
And one thing to note with Bismarck Century, they started the first 2 games without their starting quarterback. Noah Herr was the guy at the beginning of the year. They played Shanley in week 1, and then he had a lingering non-throwing arm issue that just needed time to heal. So he missed weeks 1, 2, 3, and 4, and now he's back, and the defense has just gotten better. All 3 phases of the game for Century have gotten better. So, you can take maybe some things away scheme-wise of what these 2 teams do from week 2, but Century for sure is a different team. Davies has just been rock solid all year round.
Century has owned this division since Wickenbach never won a title till 2015, and then he hasn't lost. I mean, they've ripped off 5 titles since then, or been in this game. I remember a couple years ago, I think it was 22, your first year, when they made it as a losing record.
5-7,
and they got it. They lost to Shanley that year, but they just are. I think this will be a really competitive game. Century, I'd be surprised if it's not, honestly.
I think we'll have 4 solid games in the Dakota Bowl tomorrow, but I totally agree with you. What excites me about this game is I know we love our linemen in this state. If you watch, just focus on the battle in the trenches for the late game tomorrow, it is going to be insane. Not too often do you see 340 going up against 315 and 6'5" across the board on both offensive and defensive lines.
That's some big dudes.
The lines look like they could compare with some FCS programs out there with how big these guys are. So it's pretty cool.
I'm a little biased here. Alex Meese was in studio with us this summer. Who's Davies lineman who's committed to go play for Lockway and the Dragons. If you knew the story, he's actually, I don't know if they're still dating, was dating one of Lockway's daughters. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
There's a little tip for you there. Although I don't know the status romantically in high school, so that might be
some investigative research.
You got to add more prep to the game. But he's a long, lanky guy, too, up front for Davies.
The tight ends do such a good job blocking in Davies' scheme. It's really impressive. And Alex is great defensively as well. And these 2 teams pride themselves on their defense. It's very rarely they give up more than 1 score in a game. So something's got to give. And to answer the question you guys were having earlier about which Power C formations.
Elk River Davies deal.
Elk River by a mile.
I thought you'd say that.
Elk River, and that's no knock on Davies and how they run it. They've been running it for 2.5 years now, as Wayne will say. But Elk River has been the grandfather of bringing this offense into the Midwest.
Oh, it's so terrible.
They run it to perfection. And I was telling you off air, I swear, because I've called like 2 or 3.
I know you've done a few of them. Yeah,
I swear because they just dogpile at the line of scrimmage, and the next thing you know, there's a guy 60 yards downfield. And I could swear to you, they hand the ball off in the middle of the dog pile somewhere.
Yeah.
They do so good at disguising it and holding out their fakes. And no knock to Davies, Barnesville, Cannon Falls, Lakeville South. Just Elk River does so well.
2A game is probably the most surprising matchup because I think everybody and their brother had Kindred playing in the championship, not Devils Lake. First off, you were there last week to call the game. Have you ever been part of anything like that? calling a game like that.
That was interesting. One, it was colder than all get out. Oh, man, I haven't been that cold in a while. I think by the point we got to like the second quarter, it was 25 degrees.
Oh, boy.
And I went on the field after the game, and that thing was just as hard as a rock.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine getting tackled on that. But Davies came out firing right away. Whether, offensively, there wasn't a lot of passes from either team because of how cold and windy it was. But they were running the ball really well. They were very physical on defense. So they set the tone. And then Kindred had to play catch-up, and they were without Luke Starcevic. But
that's a big deal. It's one of their best players.
It is a big deal. I agree, and he'll be back next year with Brooks Bacco. They're 2 4-star recruits, and they'll be just fine reloading for next year. But Devils Lake came out with something to prove after their 42-12 loss earlier in the year, and that's what Devils Lake showed is exactly what Century wants to show too, if that makes sense. You know, they got blown out at the beginning of the year, but Devils Lake looks really good quarterback, great receiving core. Defense is getting better as the year goes on.
So they're going to wing it around the yard tomorrow?
I think so.
Okay.
I think so. We only saw him throw like 6 times in the semifinal game, but Mason Palmer is his name, the quarterback for Devils Lake. Can throw 90 across the diamond. He's a baseball prospect, and now that the conditions are prime in a dome,
right?
and you got receivers that can run and catch, might as well let it fly.
Back in the Kindred game, Dave Sampson had some great photos afterwards. What was that like? It had to feel like a cemetery leaving there with Kindred on Friday night.
It was an interesting deal. I think just going into overtime put some people in shock.
On edge already?
Because overtime and Kindred are 2 words that are not usually in the same sentence. You know, especially over the last couple of years.
No way.
And they were down to one of the final downs trying to just get into the end zone to get closer to the tie because Devils Lake scored first. And then the field goal went up and the conditions were not prime. The field goals, the PATs prior were tough to get through.
That was a work in progress there.
Yeah, so you could tell people were on the edge of their seats, and as was I, and then that field goal just went up, and it went down, and it was a heartbreaker, a tough way to lose, but congrats to Devils Lake. They played a really good game.
All right, so they played as well. This is about a month ago, October the 10th. Minot North beat Devils Lake 28-21. We had Jacob Holman on the show yesterday to ask him about it. He said, yeah, we're obviously going to look at that, but this is a whole different deal here. And Devils Lake's playing with, as you mentioned, a ton of confidence.
Oh, absolutely. I think they're one of the hottest teams coming into the Dakota Bowl right now, just with the stretch that they've done. I was talking to Holman as well yesterday, and Devils Lake did stuff defensively because it was one of the more low-scoring games that Minot North had throughout the year. They did stuff defensively that Minot North did not see throughout the rest of the season. North is a team that likes to run the football, too. They can throw it. There's no doubt about that. I'm sure we'll see them air it out a little bit, but they pride themselves on running the football, and Devils Lake had an answer. So they're going to look back on that, but you're right. Different team. Guys are coming back from injuries on both sides, so it's going to be a really exciting game.
Minot North is in some same spot that Horace was last year. Horace was in its second year of varsity ball, win the championship. Here's Minot North now second year of varsity ball and a chance to win the whole thing tomorrow afternoon. That's a heck of a spot, and they went through the gauntlet last year, Sam. They got to the semifinals, lost on their home field. Now they made it a step further, and I'm intrigued to see what they put out there because they're not going to be in 2A long.
I was going to say at this pace, how long are they going to be here?
I would advocate they move next year. Frankly, they're
they
that
could.
big.
And they're in an area for it. We were talking on this show. If you're in the Metro, the Grand Forks, the Fargos, the Minots, the Bismarcks,
that's always been my policy.
But granted, yes, they are just starting out. They were playing a freshman schedule 3 years ago. You know, it's you got to give them a little bit of time. But now they've proven that they're ready for it. And Coach Holman was telling me that last year when they made it to the semifinal round and they played Horace, the moment may have been a little big. These guys have never experienced anything like that. So now they're primed. They know what to expect. They don't know what a dome setting is like, but they're excited for it. And I think their nerves are a little bit more calm this go around.
All right, so that's the 3A and 2A matchups. Let's break because we got to come back. You told me about this social media video from our guy Mike Zier we're going to play that. We come back, get you ready for the 9-man game. We'll talk about that. I know Sam's not calling it, but Zier's ready for it.
He's ready to go.
We'll have that. We come back. Other side of the break. Back after this.
Guys, Mrs. Zier's in watching something called Survivor. Let's get our first impressions of the 9-man championship game this Friday. I think Lemoore is going to want to run the ball, try and control the clock. All right, they're so explosive. I think New Rockford, while not the same team as they were last year, I think they're improved. That's saying something because they were the state champs. They can score at any moment. I mean, so I think if you're Lemoore, you run the ball, control the ball, do your passing. And then if you're New Rockford, just be New Rockford. Just, do your stuff. I like this matchup. I like the lines. The offensive lines for both teams are really good. I've been studying them the last couple days. A couple kids that I really, really like. I know the superstars get all the rec, but they're really good, and both are really physical teams. I'm super excited for this. Someone asked me today, can you have a Clover dog at 9 o'clock in the morning? And the answer is yes, if you're watching football. So see everyone in Fargo.
Oh, that's fantastic.
What a guy.
That is so good.
What a guy. You should just run that for the pregame of tomorrow.
That should be our intro to start the broadcast tomorrow.
That's fantastic.
He's the best.
Mike is great.
So
he brings the energy every year, too.
We had him in studio one year. He was doing it the day before. Eric may remember. It was 2 or 3 years ago. He was here on a Thursday before doing it, and he was amped up.
Oh, I know.
And ready to go. So that'll be, I don't know if we've told Ryan McNamara is calling the 9-man game.
Yeah, I don't know if they've met yet.
Give him full warning on what he's getting himself into tomorrow.
I showed up to the Dakota Bowl game as the first game of the day last year, and I let out one little yawn, and oh man, I got chewed out for that by Ozier. You gotta wake up! This is 9-man title game time. Let's go! It's great.
What do you make of his analysis? We've been asked about it. Hedberg was up at the Fargo Dome. He's all over it. Wanted to know what's going to happen in this game.
The 9-man
tomorrow.
games I've been asked about the most so far. People at the men's basketball game last night, the NDSU game, asking me about it. Rematch. His analysis is spot on, and if he says New Rockford Cheyenne is better than last year,
wow, that's scary because they were really good. And Lemoore, they've had the mindset of revenge on their mind, and it sets up perfectly. I think we're going to get a true traditional high-scoring, action-packed 9-man game tomorrow. All right,
I love it.
I'm calling the Class A game tomorrow. I have Hot Mike from 9 to 11. Do I have some time to go get a hot dog? Like
you got to go get
a
Clover dog
because the game's not supposed to start till theoretically noon.
I would assume
that might be a long game.
New Rockford Cheyenne, they put up 70 points in the semifinals, and that took some time. The last game of the night, the 3A,
That'll be done in an
that's
hour.
going to take an hour. That's going to be done so fast. But the 9-man game,
commercial breaks will take longer than the actual game.
The 9-man game might take around 4. We'll have to see. It's going to be a really exciting game.
All right, and then as I mentioned, Class A tomorrow is Langdon area Munich against Bottineau. Bottineau's never been there to the championship game, and Langdon is as close to a dynasty as he have in that division.
Yeah.
Now, they won 3 titles in a row. They won 44 games in a row from 18 to 2020. I remember calling a couple of them. They were untouchable with the Rumpho twins that were playing then. Now they've been on the doorstep the last couple of years, lost in the semis, and now they're here. With Bottineau, I don't know if they've been literally the road warriors. They went from Ellendale back to Bottineau to Killdeer back to Bottineau and all the way to Fargo.
That's moving around.
That's
moving around. And these two teams now, they don't have to deal with the Kindreds and the Central Casses anymore. So
I think a lot of people thought that Class A was opened up because Central Cass and Kindred were out of there this year.
This is the game, the two teams I haven't been able to watch throughout the year that much or follow along, but I'm excited for that one too. I think it's going to be a really good game, and congrats to Bottineau. What they've been doing the last couple of years athletically, not just football, hockey's getting in the state tournament as well. Other sports are making runs. It's been a good stretch up there in Bottineau.
I'm interested to see how both quarterbacks are really good, so it should be a highly entertaining Class A game that hopefully doesn't take as long as the 9-man game.
We'll see
tomorrow.
Those first 2 games are always exciting, always fun.
Sources indicate the Bison are playing Saturday. Did you know that?
Are they? Oh, okay. We got to mark that down on my calendar.
On the plate. With NDSU taking on Northern Iowa. What was your impressions on the sidelines of being inside the Alaris on Saturday?
Yeah, first time in the Alaris Center. I liked it. Not a bad little spot. It's an interesting feel to it, but for an FCS venue, I think it's pretty unique. It is an echo dome. I mean, the noises were just ringing from one end to the other. It was a good crowd. They were lively. They were into it.
Yep.
The Bison never felt like they were out of it by any means. The mood was always high, and then once you started compiling those turnovers in the second half, you could feel the momentum shift in that building. It was pretty interesting.
Email comes in. Dom asked Sam from his perspective, could he tell that was a forward lateral on the kick return? late in the game there?
Initially, no, because it happened so quickly. And I was standing where I was pretty much right on the yard line where it happened. And it happened to me so fast I didn't even see it. But then when you watch the replay, yes,
I thought the
makes sense.
We had on our broadcast looked like the one most definitive that the ball went forward.
I agree. It's such a weird thing because you're fighting the law of physics on that.
Yeah.
If you're going to run that play, you have to hand it off, and you kind of have to do the full turn with it. It's hard when you just throw it up. And yes, he ran backward, and that's where a lot of people may think it's a lateral, but you caught it forward. That's the issue. And I thought it was interesting what Eric Schmidt said in the postgame. They got that from
Ray. See, it still looks like it's just half a yard in front there.
It doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't matter where the guy tossing it, his body is, right? It matters on the arm angle and all that stuff. Well, it matters where the receiver is.
Right.
That's the big thing.
Right, correct.
It matters where whoever's receiving the lateral, and he was forward.
Yeah.
I thought Eric Schmidt said they took that from a Texas-Oklahoma game, and they were called for the same thing.
Correct.
So it's a tricky play to run. And Lamore Litchfield-Marion did a similar thing in the Dakota Bowl last year where they ran that reverse, but they handed it off, and it worked.
And that worked.
And it worked, yeah. So it's a tough thing. If there wouldn't have been a call, I mean, that could have been a game changer.
Absolutely.
Right there.
Well, I mean, they were at the 45-yard. Now it ends up they got to the Bison side of the field as it was, and that leads to a perfect segue for your Inside the Herd feature is on the guy who stealed the game for the Bison on Saturday.
Really impressive pick. Anthony Shademi Alfaro, who's kind of got the knack for the big-time picks. He had that one last week. He had the one against Mercer in the playoffs last year, and we were just kind of looking at his bio after the game and thinking, wow, he's kind of been all over the country playing football. Grew up in California, started his college career out in Cornell, which is on the complete opposite side of the country, I've been told, and then went into the portal.
In New York,
yes, and now here he's in Middle America here in North Dakota, and so we talked about that, what that's been like, what the football's been like at each stop, and what the reaction was when he said he was coming to North Dakota. Really smart kid, really well-spoken guy. He's impressive to talk to, so I'm looking forward to sharing that story.
Yeah, his reaction or his parents' reaction of telling him he was going to go to Fargo, I think, was the best part of that.
That's always
I had the same reaction when I told my friends that I was coming to Fargo. Like, what? Where? Why?
Yeah. You coastal guys. My parents were all for it. Like, oh yeah, you're not really changing anything.
You're not moving that far away. I was moving 1,300 miles. He's the same thing. He was moving 1,300 miles from where he was because, as people know, Cornell is located in Ithaca, New York.
It is in Ithaca.
It's a beautiful campus. Yeah. Very, very nice. Very private.
Isn't there another school in Ithaca?
Yeah, Ithaca College is there.
Ithaca is in Ithaca. Huh? Okay, well, that's good to know. You learned something.
It's a beautiful campus, and they're an Ivy League school. And the interesting part, we were asking him as well, ACA, about with him and Jack Giuliano, both are Ivy League guys with the reputation. I don't think people understand of how good the football is, and he spoke about that as well.
Yeah, and now we're going to kind of see them more once we get into the postseason because they're allowed in there. Harvard's always good. Brown.
Well, as Kyle Emanuel's told us, Harvard is a wagon.
Harvard is a wagon. They definitely are. We'll see what they do in the postseason. I don't know if that's Ivy League's only hope moving forward.
I would. Well, this year certainly.
Yeah.
Heck, they could be a seed for the
That'd
top
be
8
something.
seed.
But yeah, no, the football's good, and he's translated that over into the Missouri Valley Football Conference, and he's been doing really well. So that'd be fun to share that story on Saturday morning.
All right, last thing before we go, you're a busy man. Another email comes in. Dom asked Sam, did he get up to watch his Colts win on Sunday in the game in Germany?
Kind of. I woke up middle of the fourth quarter, so whatever time that was.
Well, you caught the best part. I guess,
exactly.
Right?
I woke up once at like 9. I looked at the score and I'm like, they're losing. I'll check back in later. Went back to sleep and looked at it. I'm like, okay, I better flip it on. What a ball game out there in Germany. Went to OT and won it. Jonathan Taylor is the greatest player of all time.
Of all time?
I'm just kidding.
Is he the MVP of 2025?
Has to be, right?
I would think so. His numbers he's putting up are video game.
Yeah, he broke Edgerrin James' rushing touchdown record.
He was all right. He was an okay player.
He's not bad. So if you're doing that, that's a guy they got in the second round out of Wisconsin, and he's been phenomenal. Love Jonathan
That's when the
Taylor.
Badgers used to have good football players.
Exactly. And when they had that good stretch of running backs too.
So bye week, and then the Chiefs. Is that going to get flexed? It should.
I hope so. It's
That's
about time we start showcasing the Colts a little bit more nationally.
As long as they don't wear those hideous midnight blue uniforms, I'm all for it. Those ones are terrible.
Yeah, that's true.
Not good.
That's true. I agree with you.
All right, last thing before we go. This is a big weekend, obviously, for you, but also your mom and dad are coming up this weekend?
Yeah, they're coming up. My mom actually just texted me a minute ago. I've been trying to ask her, when are you coming up tomorrow? And
You've got lots of free time this weekend.
Like, we kind of need to figure that out. And, yeah, they're coming up. It's going to be fun. My dad's never been to Fargo, I don't believe. He's probably gone passing through, but he's never been up here. So he's never been to a Bison game, so he's looking forward to seeing that. My mom's been to one or two now, so she knows the full game day routine.
Yes,
but I'm looking.
She was on set last year.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. I'm looking forward to having them up here.
Well, have a great call tonight. You got the Bison against Concordia Wrestling, and then we'll see you for the spectacular tomorrow for the Dakota Bowl. Have a great call tomorrow.
Thank you. You too.
Thanks, bud. There he goes. Sam Goetzinger joining us each and every Thursday at 10 o'clock. He'll be on the call the 2A and 3A games tomorrow at the Dome. We'll break. We come back. Jory Collins will join us. Bison women getting ready for a matchup with Nebraska. We'll chat about that and a bunch more. Final half hour of the show coming up after this. Welcome back, everybody. Thursday morning show, final half hour. Tomorrow, of course, we'll be live up at the Dome. Get you ready for Dakota Bowl. The 9-man game will be going as we're live. Should be a fun day coming up tomorrow. Bison women's basketball team played Monday, got a win over Concordia. The Bison are off to a 2-1 start. They'll be on the road on Sunday, heading back to Sioux Falls in the Pentagon for a matchup with Nebraska. Time to visit with Jory Collins. We do it each and every Thursday at 10:35. His appearances are brought to us by Northwestern Mutual. Are your ears still ringing from Monday and the 2,300 kids that were at the game?
Oof, I think I'm a little bit. I got past it. Took me a good 24 hours, but the ringing has stopped.
How describe that? We talked about what you wanted for year one. It was even bigger. What was your experience of seeing that on Monday morning?
I mean, for me, I think it's great. I mean, I think, you want to look for ways to maybe give back. And I think there's a lot of kids that got to come to that was maybe their first college athletic experience, their first time watching a college basketball game. And I'll bet you there's some kids in those stands that was their first time on campus that end up coming to school at NDSU in 10 years, in 5, 6, 7 years, because they got to go have fun one day, one time.
I thought the reveal of the shirts you did on Sunday was fantastic. Where did that come from? We know who the genesis of that idea?
Yeah, Michaela, our Dobo had that. I think she might have saw it in another setting somewhere as just an idea. And then, we'd kind of been out and we're reading to some elementary schools, kids that were coming. We wanted to go make a connection with them before they got there. And then obviously presented some of the classrooms with the opportunity to design a warm-up shirt and our coaches' game shirts. And they took it and ran with it. I think our team loved it. And I thought, we got great feedback that, it looked pretty neat and was just kind of fun deal for both parties.
Yours with your name front and center was fantastic. It's like a permanent name tag.
Yeah, that's what everybody was going to know who I was. It looked exactly like a name tag. Pretty good Bison on there.
Yeah, not bad. Not bad.
Perfect rectangle and then just my name. It's great.
You get that framed, put that up in the office then, right?
Yeah, I'm going to keep wearing it. You might bust them out again.
Well, not that a referee wouldn't know you, but you could wear that, under the suit coat, then you're all good, right?
That's right. I love it.
I know this isn't about you, but congratulations. You got to win 100 at North Dakota State. How big a deal is that for you?
Well, I don't know, Dom. I'm not one of those. I don't really keep track of a lot of stuff like that. I think, as we've gotten better here over the years, it's obviously a milestone in coaching when you get to those. And, I'm more concerned and excited about the direction we're heading, the quality of student athletes we've started to get into our program. Winning and getting games, winning games takes care of itself when you surround yourself with really, really good people. I love our coaching staff. have done a terrific job. I love the players that I get to be around and coach every day. That's much more satisfying and gratifying for me than any number of wins. But, as a competitor, I wish we would have hit 100 a year and a half ago.
I knew you were going to say that.
But we're going to get into that kind of average, and that's where we're trying to get to is we need to be winning 100 games every 4 or 5 years. And that's just the path that I want our team to be on.
I know you're fully on Nebraska, but we haven't had a chance to chat since the Gonzaga game. How do you unpack that and how that played out last Friday night?
Yeah, I mean, I was a little disappointed. One, we had a great crowd. I wanted to play so well for our crowd that night. And just so far early in the year, and even our first 3 games, you and I, Gonzaga and Concordia, for us early in the year, we've had some great moments in every game, and we haven't sustained anything really consistently yet. I thought our most consistent thing we done was guard you and I for 4 quarters. Yep. And that's who I think we can be. But man, to give up 26 in a quarter in the third quarter against Gonzaga was frustrating. I know we're better than that, and they're really good. They were actually even a little bit better than what I thought they were going to be. It was hard. We didn't have film on them. They had new players transferring in, what those packages were going to look like. But they're a really good basketball team. They're going to win a lot of games this year. So there's no big deal. We lost the game. I wanted it to be a little bit closer. Obviously, we didn't put the ball in the hole yet. We haven't put the ball in the hole yet from the perimeter like we're capable of. I think as we keep going, that'll settle itself down, and we'll be able to get the inside out, offensive things that we need to be able to be in those kind of games.
Well, I know you told me this as well last week, and I know you visited with Sam about it, that the first 3 opponents you've had, that's their first game of the season, which is really hard to prepare for that as well.
Well, it is, because you're just unsure of what you need to be ready for when new players come in, or what are you running. Now, a lot of teams have their bread and butter, and Gonzaga, we had a pretty good idea what they were going to do, just given who they are as a coaching staff and their style of play for years. But there's always wrinkles. There's always different things with players. There's out of bounds plays become difficult because you haven't guarded them. People may take advantage of your defensive stance and things that you do because they've watched you play, and you're trying to make a bunch of adjustments on the fly. Fortunately, we don't have to play anybody else that we don't have film on, I don't think, for the rest of the year.
Tell me about what you've seen for Bison fans to get their first. They've seen Jossie Schiller play from afar, Jory, but her first 3 games as a Bison. Anything surprise you, or is this exactly what you thought you were signing up for?
I wouldn't say anything surprised me. I had suspicions that she was much more of a gamer, than an everyday practice standout, something, for Jossie physically, she's not that big. She has terrific stamina, and she plays really hard. All the things that she excels at, are things that are really hard to put down on a piece of paper or see physically. Her mind for the game, her competitive spirit, she is super quick. Her change of direction is really good. She shot the ball well, one of the few on our team that shot the ball well early. I think she'll finish better. She hasn't finished great, getting to the rim yet. But I think that will come as she gets more comfortable in what we're doing. Her defensive presence has been fantastic. Having her and Marissa Frost, I've said it before, out front, being able to hound some people at our level is going to be a luxury for us.
And she doesn't get tired.
Well, she doesn't look like she gets tired. I think she'd tell you after a while she gets tired. But, when you're mentally as tough as she is, she's cross-country champ. I don't know. You don't do that without being able to overcome mentally some fatigue in a lot of situations. So I think that helps her just, having the right mindset in those situations.
When's the last time you ran anything like that?
Never. I don't know if I ever have.
I did a 5K a long time ago.
And I walk uphill for 20 minutes.
That'll work. That'll count.
That's what, and then the occasional pickup basketball game, but that's only 2 or 3 sprints a time.
Yeah, she just is, she's a warrior like that. All right, so it's on to Nebraska, and we talked this summer when you scheduled the game, and there's obviously an upshoot to this. You're playing in Sioux Falls, where you're going to play the Summit League Conference tournament. You're back at the Pentagon, and you played the exhibition game there. The challenges speak for themselves. You're playing a Big Ten school. What do you want? Obviously, you want to win the game. What are you hoping to get out of this matchup coming up on Sunday?
Yeah, Nebraska's fantastic. I mean, they have players all over the place, high-level guards, high-level bigs, and a stable full of both. The way they've turned people over 28 times a game or something ridiculous in their first 3 games, and it's been really hard to score on them. I mean, we're going to have our hands full executing and scoring. We know that. What you get out of those games is, for me, every time you play those opponents that are supposed to be superior and bigger, faster, stronger type stuff, and then obviously super well coached with Coach Williams, if you can find some ways to execute against them, if you can find some things in your battle that gives them trouble, for me, those are things you can hang your hat on against anybody. If you can go into that game and say, hey, these guys are forcing this many turnovers, our ability to take care of the ball is going to be critical for us to be in the game. How well can we manage, the ball pressure and taking care of the ball? And you feel like, hey, if we could do that against Nebraska, then we can do that, against anybody.
Well, I was following the score from the Bison game. They played last night. They beat Creighton by 34. You just saw Creighton not that long ago. That tells you alone. And they forced 25 turnovers last night.
Yeah, and if you go look at their scores, they've blown people's doors off in the first 3.5 minutes of their first 3 games. And, you got to be able to weather that storm. And it's obviously been hard for anybody to do that yet. Hopefully we'll be the first, and we can get into the first media timeout in a battle and settle in a little bit and find some ways to be effective.
Playing down in the Pentagon, you've done it a couple times. You like that venue? What are the advantages of getting Bison basketball?
I actually really like it. Yeah. I really like it. I got a taste of being able to play there at the Division II level when we played there for an Elite Eight. First time there, I think 2015 that was, and that was a lot of fun. Enjoyed that environment. And then we've been back as many times as we can get in there. Small venue, seats are right next to it. You get 1,000 people in there. It feels like 3 or 4, just because it's almost like a high school gym, kind of close. But I think it's a good environment. It's a great place for people to meet up and play these kind of games, neutral site.
You had a few days, if you wanted that, to get back in the gym after you played 3 games in the first 7-8 days of the season?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're ready to play again. Coming off the Monday Concordia game is just different. It's 11 a.m.er with all the other things going on, and we played okay in that game. Had some things that I wasn't super happy about. I was probably overly critical after I watched that film of what we did that day. But I know we're back at it. We got to get a whole day and a half off, this week and kind of recoup. And, you can see our non-con setting up. We got a big game against Nebraska Sunday. We got a big game against Tulane the next Friday. And then we're on the road for our first, kind of road tournament over Thanksgiving. That's all going to start coming really quickly. It's a good opportunity here with about 1 game a week to be able to get an assessment here pretty soon of what we need to be dialing in, changing up a little bit, and make some adjustments as we creep into the second half of our non-con season.
Last couple minutes here with Jory. Yesterday was signing day. It was moderately quiet. You did add 1 player. Tell us a little bit about the player you signed yesterday.
Yeah, Georgia's a player. We actually saw Georgia on film, and then she was playing in the States in the summer of 24. I got to see her at Run for the Roses with an Australian team that comes over. And as you and I have always talked about here, it's the hardest thing to recruit is quality bigs at our level, because if you get snatched up pretty quick, at the highest level, if you can run and chew gum at the same time and are 6'2" and show any kind of skill set. We're lucky the ones that we've had, we've gotten in on early and built relationships with and tried to put them in position to be successful. Georgia is a really good athlete, really physical player. She has great international experience. Just spent some time in China playing here a month ago with a travel team. Again, love that she's coming at semester. She will enroll here and be here in January, just like Carrington did last year, just to get her feet wet. but she's got a high ceiling. She fits right in with that Avery Carrington type of runner and finisher, and she'll be an asset for sure.
Is that it? Do you plan anything else, or maybe in the spring to add another piece?
Yeah, I mean, it'll be the spring for us. I mean, obviously we got one real senior, Dom, in AG, and a little bit is we want to see
what your team is, right?
Like, obviously, yeah. I mean, we had the opportunity to sign a high school guard or two, and just wanted to be patient, with where we're at. And with who we have returning and all those kind of things. But yeah, we'll probably be somewhat active in the spring, I would assume.
It's great to see you as always, bud. Safe travels down to Sioux Falls this weekend, and we'll talk next week, okay?
Okay, sounds good, Dom. Thank you.
Jory Collins joining us each and every Thursday at 10:30. North Dakota State will take on Nebraska. That game is at noon on Sunday. I know we got the Vikes game going on. You can have multiple screens going. That's on Big Ten Network against Nebraska. Logan Nisley not yet back from injury after her offseason surgery. I know we talked to Logan about that at the end of last year, so she will not be playing in the game, but that will be a stiff challenge for the Bison, and then it's back home for Tulane a week from tomorrow. We'll take our final break. We come back. We'll wrap things up, get you ready for a great Sports Thursday. Hot Mic out after this. All right, wrapping things up here on a Thursday morning. Again, tomorrow, reminder, we are live up at the Dome, and tomorrow we're on WDAY 2. So if you're looking for us on our normal channel, you're going to have WDAY normal programming here on Extra. So we will be on WDAY 2 tomorrow. If you stream us, there's no change there. You podcast, no changes there. But if you watch us live on television, which we appreciate, we're on a different channel tomorrow, which is pretty darn close to the channel we're on right now. So you can look for us there tomorrow, which should be a packed show up at the Dome. Justin Fletchock going to join us from the High School Activity Association. We'll have Josh Kravachka. A couple other fun guests will join us up at the Dome tomorrow. And then I got to get ready to call a game right after that, the Class A championship game. They're bringing me out of mothballs to call the Botno-Langdon game coming up at about noon tomorrow on WDAY. Looking forward to that with my old pal Scott Grockow, the Hall of Famer. We've done, 7 or 8 of those together, so that'll be fun to be back with Scotty tomorrow. That'll be coming up tomorrow at noon. It's a great day. This has been a real long stretch that started a week ago today with volleyball up at the BBF, and we're right in the grind of it. And this is, I don't know if labor of love is probably too strong a word, because I don't know if anybody's loving anything right now, but it beats digging ditches, I can tell you that. So we're looking forward to what should be a great day tomorrow, and then a great day Saturday. Bison have a game with Northern Iowa, and intrigued to see how this unfolds on Saturday for a team that already has got everything wrapped up, but still looking to play well heading into the postseason. And we'll get into that some tomorrow. You're going to hear from a couple of the Bison players tomorrow on our show up at the Dome. So looking forward to that. One last reminder before we get to what to watch and get out of here. Again, the Minnesota State semifinals are underway. Orono and Marshall are playing right now. Those games are all streamed. There's no over-the-air television for the semifinals. So if you're looking to watch the Spuds tomorrow or the game tonight with Minnetonka and Edina, it is only on NSPN's website. And we'll tweet that out. We'll put that on our Hot Mic page and our Facebook page so people understand where to find the games. If you're looking for the Spuds or Monoman or Breck or DGF, Hillcrest and Fertile, Kitson County Central, all those teams we have 7 teams left. You can find them there. Real quick, couple of emails. Dom, any fan that complains about scheduling isn't educated on the state of college athletics. It goes back to the topic off the top of the show, who the Bison were playing last night with St. Scholastica. Dom, just listen to your interview with Riley. He seems like a very sharp guy. Very good hire for WDAY. Couldn't agree more on that one as well. Last one, Dom, why doesn't the Missouri Valley and the Summit League just merge their basketball leagues? Not going to happen. Missouri Valley is its own enterprise there, and they're humming along doing their thing. Summit's just got to go find some teams. I don't know who, but they got to go find somebody. Let's do some what to watch before we get out of here. All right, what to watch is brought to us by our friends at Northwestern Mutual. Hey, it is a big day today. We got Cobbers Bison Wrestling coming up tonight at 6 o'clock on WDAY Extra for the Bison dual opener there. It is a New York Jets game day. It is a Jets game day. We're going for 4 straight weeks without a loss. 2 wins and a bye against the Patriots. You got some Sun Belt tonight with Troy and Old Dominion, and a good hoops game. Purdue and Alabama, 2 top 8 ranked teams, 6 o'clock on ESPN2. Our thanks to our guy, Riley Swenson, to Sam Goetzinger, Kevin Feeney, and Joran Collins. If you missed any of the show, you can podcast it later today at Inforum.com. You can watch a full replay on WDAY+. Everybody have a great Thursday. We'll see you up in the Dome tomorrow.